This news update is brought to you by
Grab somebody and tell them hello. Your happiness will be connect to flow. Smile and cheer because that is we flow. Grab somebody and tell them hello. With your hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow, yeah. Grab somebody and tell them this is how we flow.
This is the Barbados Today Evening News Update for Thursday, November 19. Thank you for joining us. I am Marion Williams. 20 small shareholders of Banks Holdings Limited have filed a class action lawsuit against the company in the Supreme Court. They are taking issue with the controversial exit clause outlined in the 2010 agreement between BHL and SLU Beverages. The agreement states that if any person or group owns more than 25% of the total voting power in the company, then SLU has the ability to require BHL to repurchase at $10 per share the 13.2 million common shares which were issued to SLU on conversion of the debt in 2010. The shareholders are represented by attorney-at-law Ulrich Scott. Barbados records its 22nd road fatality for the year. 65-year-old Marion of Sunset Crest, St. James, died at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital 6 days after she and her husband William were involved in an accident. The collision occurred at the junction of Spring Garden and Brighton on November 12 around 3:30 p.m. Mrs. Finn and her husband received sustained serious injuries following the collision with a van driven by Damien Worrell of Haynesville, St. James. They have been warded at the hospital ever since the accident, where Mr. Finn is still in serious condition. Marion Finn passed away yesterday. Officials in the insurance industry are raising concern over a lack of minimum standards in the renewable energy sector. And the president of the General Insurance Association of Barbados, Davis Brown, says while there are a number of products available for the renewable energy sector, insurance officials would be in a better position to offer better rates if some of their concerns are addressed. Among those concerns, he says, is a lack of minimum standards for the designs of the renewable energy systems when they come to manufacturing, installation, testing, and maintenance. He also called on authorities to develop minimum standard contracts as it relates to training and certification, as well as safety standards.
We need perhaps to look at a registration and licensing regime that everybody is fully aware of and engaged in, rather than having persons doing installations and we don't have standards, we don't know up to what standards are being done. We need to look at inspectors who inspect the installations and perhaps do this maybe on an annual or basis or so, and effective risk management practices. And I'm saying that where these are done, where they are in place, the industry is well positioned to not only provide income but provide it at the best rate.
The Barbados Agricultural Society is currently assessing farmers' produce across the country. The evaluation comes as the island gets ready for the festive independence and Christmas seasons. BAS head James Paul tells Barbados Today assessments are done in the sector on a regular basis, but society is seeking to find out the level of produce available given the drought situation in the country.
The Christmas season is coming up, so we're trying to make an assessment as to how well our members are doing in terms of their production, so that we would know, what our supplies are looking like going into the Christmas season. The rain has been a factor this year because, the rain has not been as consistent as we would like it to be. November is probably the best time we've had some rain so far, but, we still have to look at crops as we go on because it's just not November, you'll have to look at December and then January. And these are which farmers tend to do relatively well. So we are hoping that, that the weather holds and that we are able to have catch some rain so at the same time that will allow us to be able to keep production of vegetables up the way they need to be.
In sports, 2 cricketers have been penalized under the Code of Conduct following the second round of the Professional Cricket League Regional 4-Day Tournament. The West Indies Cricket Board says Shannon Gabriel and Jamel Warrican were reported during the match between Barbados Pride and Trinidad and Tobago Red Force at Kensington Oval for showing dissent at an umpire's decision. when an appeal for an LBW verdict was unsuccessful on the third ball of the 95th over of the pride's first innings, Gabriel swore after throwing his hands wide open. This was considered a show of dissent to the umpire's decision. It was reported by the umpires as a level 1 breach of the code, but the charge was upgraded to level 2 because this was the second time Gabriel committed the same offense within the last 12 months. He was fined 70% of his match fee. Meanwhile, the pride's Warrican was penalized after he stood at the crease, opened his arms and delayed leaving the wicket in a show of dissent at the umpire's decision when he was given out LBW on the final delivery of the 111th over. He was fined 10% of his match fee.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter. That's the move for me. Stability, prosperity. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
In news from the region, a local Muslim in Trinidad and Tobago has been sharing his thoughts on the move by some nationals to join ISIS. Here's some of what he has to say in this report from Elizabeth Williams of TV6 News.
We have the Minister of National Security saying that there is no threat, and we have the Prime Minister saying that there is some level of threat. I would say go with the Minister of National Security in the sense that I know these individuals, and I know a lot of them who have went away and who have gone and joined with ISIS and so on. Some of them were part of my group. That was in the earlies when I had expressed a lot of radical views.
Abdullah says while these men are being looked at as a threat, they can in fact be an asset to this country.
I don't think that they're going to pose any threat. As a matter of fact, they will be more of an asset to this country than anything else. Because one thing they'll be doing is talking about their experiences out there in wherever they have gone. And it will be a deterrent for those who are thinking about leaving and going.
On the international scene, airstrikes are continuing against targets of the so-called Islamic states of Iraq and Syria. That's even more after last Friday's attacks in Paris, which killed at least 129 people. Analysts believe that by hitting ISIS on the ground, they can cut off supplies of money and munitions to Western Europe. We get more in this report from the BBC.
Lines in the sand, seen from the air. The Russian Air Force says this cockpit footage shows columns of oil tankers in Syria belonging to the so-called Islamic State. They've bombed them intensively, part of an international effort to target the group's supply lines and sources of finance. On the ground, IS has proved surprisingly resilient. This was an earlier recruiting video, but it is getting harder for recruits to join them from Europe. And as the airstrikes take their toll, IS is expanding its efforts to launch terrorist attacks around the world. New York City has been implicitly threatened in a recent IS video. It talked of suicide attacks there and in other Western cities, but the authorities say there's no evidence of an imminent attack.
I want to encourage all New Yorkers to continue to go about their business normally. It's important to note that there is no credible and specific threat against New York City.
And from Syria to the other side of the world. In Honduras, 6 Syrians have been arrested at the capital's airport with false Greek passports, 5 of them trying to get into the United States. No evidence yet of terrorism, but when a Greek consular official showed up, reportedly none of them could speak Greek.
They had false documents, some passports that are going to be investigated. They were stolen in Greece and later they were detained. It's an investigation that was carried out through specialist intelligence officers as well as Interpol.
And in Paris, a massive investigation continues into last Friday's attacks. One key question still unanswered is whether the plotters planned the massacre using encrypted communications that French intelligence could not intercept.
That's the news. There's more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. You can catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Also tune into channel 101 on Flow TV or Mix 96.9 FM for more news and sports. I am Marion Williams. Good evening.